This is your Radio Fox.
Hello, I'm Tindy C, and a big warm welcome to the all-new Tindy C show on your number one radio station hospital, Radio Fox. And thank you to Liz for the last couple of hours. Had a fantastic time there. And in the first part of my show today, I'll bring you Talk This Week. And we'll be chatting to Anne Whitehouse, and she's recently been dubbed Aspire Magazine's Inspirational Therapist of 2012. And welcome Anne into the studio today. Congratulations first for your award, Inspirational Therapist.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, I've got to ask you, with a doctorate in material sciences and meteorology and a first-class honours degree in natural sciences from Jesus College, Cambridge University, you're probably the last person in the world that anybody would expect to be a holistic therapist and a spiritual writer. So,
Indeed, yes. And basically, if you'd said that to me 20 years ago, I would have thought that you were completely mad. It's an interesting story. Basically, I was on the academic path. PhD, postdoc, I got a university lectureship at Leicester University Engineering Department. And what happened was that I began to suffer from stress, really severe stress. I would get anxiety attacks, insomnia. Right. It was horrendous. But I didn't take any notice. I just kept pushing myself to work harder and harder and harder.
Was that very much related to the academic side of things and so forth, or the stress that you placed upon yourself maybe, or?
Possibly.
Right, okay.
I think that the environment didn't really suit me. And so I was, what I was doing was fine, and yet I always had to push harder and harder and harder. Right. And having completely ignored all of these stress symptoms, literally, after years, my body simply couldn't cope anymore. I became very ill with ME. Right. And I literally had to give up my career completely. All I was left with was basically lying on a sofa. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything.
Wow.
And obviously with ME, it's not well understood. And the conventional medicine, in my case, couldn't do anything to help me. So basically, I turned to holistic therapies to get my own life back.
Right.
And I sort of started off looking at my body, my energy, my immune system, doing all that kind of therapy to try and strengthen myself, and that worked to a certain extent. But then I realised that just relieving the stress in that way wasn't going to be enough.
Right.
Because if I'd carried on and got better and gone back to life, I'd have kept living in the same way. I still pushed myself, and all the illness would have come back again. So what I realised was that it was the fact that life really stressed me out. It was my own doing in a way. It was me that had interpreted life to be so stressful.
Right. How old were you actually at this time anyway?
That's a good question. I was.
If you don't mind me asking.
I was in my about 30, 32, 31, 32, that kind of age.
Okay.
The signs were coming on for years beforehand. I now, looking back, and I realised that.
Right.
But what I realised was that if I was ever going to be healthy and happy, and for that to be lasting, and for me to be able to engage in life again, and be well and happy at the same time, I had to really change how I looked at life from the very deepest level.
Right.
So that is what led me into these therapies, which are doing exactly that, retraining, reprogramming the mind to stop perceiving aspects of life as being dangerous or unsafe, or but ramps the stress up.
Right. And
to actually literally change that. And it's made such a difference to my own life. By the time I was completely well, and I am now completely well,
fantastic.
There was no way I wanted to go back to science. I was already trained in these therapies, and they're so wonderful because you can literally see people's lives changing.
Fantastic.
Week on week, it's absolutely fantastic. It's very rewarding.
That's brilliant. What we'll do is we'll go to another track now, and after that you can tell us a little bit more about the therapies you actually do. Yeah?
Okay.
Anyway, and I was talking to Anne about what she actually does. It's a holistic therapist, and I'm going to ask her a little bit more about what holistic therapy she does. And if anyone's listening out there and they want to get in touch with a question for Anne, they can get in touch with us by telephone. You can press the grey button on your bedside handset if you're listening at the Royal, or you can dial Leicester 258 5555 from the Glenfield. Yeah, get through to us. You can check the website at Glenfield at www.radiofox.co.uk. Yeah, let us know if there's anything you'd like to ask Anne, and we'll ask her on your behalf. And so tell me, Anne, tell me more about the holistic therapies that you actually do.
Okay, well, with holistic therapies, basically we're looking at the whole person. And instead of looking at the symptoms somebody's having and wanting to suppress them and get rid of those symptoms, what we're saying is let's look at the whole person as like an energetic whole. The thoughts, the emotions, your experiences and your physical body are all linked together energetically. And
Right.
so if you've got negative energy somewhere, if you've got a block somewhere, for whatever cause, it's going to have a knock-on effect on the whole you and your well-being. So with the therapies that I'm doing, we're really digging down to find out where that block or that imbalance might be.
Right.
We're then taking that out, changing it permanently on the deepest level. Then you can have balance and harmony come back to you as a whole, and then your life can change. It might be that your body then becomes stronger and your health improves, or it might be that your confidence improves or your relationship improves. It doesn't really matter. We're just removing these blocks and negativity
Right.
while looking at how that might be affecting your everyday health and well-being and happiness.
Right. Okay, so what kind of therapies do you actually offer? Then?
Well, the main one is called Theta Healing, and what we're doing there, that is very much looking at the subconscious mind.
Right.
So we're literally thinking of the brain as a computer, and if there's something wrong in your operating system, it's going to crash.
Okay.
It's not going to operate as well as it can do.
Right.
So with Theta Healing, we're looking at this base programming, and we acquire programs and conditioning right through our lives, starting with how our parents treated us as children. And these then go into that base level, and they can colour your entire understanding of life.
Right.
So I'll give you some examples. Do you like some examples?
Yes, please give me some examples.
So, for example, it's quite usual to someone have the base program of "I'm worthless," or "I don't deserve to be loved,"
Right.
or "I have to be perfect."
Right.
And this sort of thing, if that is there under the surface, it's going to really sabotage the way you feel about yourself.
So even if like somebody thinks that they're quite confident and so forth, but they may have these subconsciously sort of lying underneath.
They may do.
Right.
But what would
Okay.
happen is someone would come with an aspect of their life they want to improve.
Right.
So for example, if it were their relationships,
Right.
they're obviously consciously they're going to know that they're worthwhile, that they've got a lot to offer,
Yeah.
that they're a good person, etc. But if we dig down to the subconscious, there might be something else. There might be a belief there saying, I have to be abandoned by men, or men always abandon me, men always betray me,
Right.
something like that. But we can then change that with the Theta Healing, literally taking out that program, putting in a new one, something like, I deserve to be loved and respected.
Right.
And then everything in that person's mind that was underpinned by that old negative program, that just then disappears. Their brain begins to then look at the new programs, look at those new ideas, and it then rebuilds or rewrites its internal software. And what happens is, as the healing soaks in over a couple of weeks, you'll begin to feel differently about yourself.
Right.
And the thing that's really important is that it's not just you that feels different. Your energy, what you're projecting into the world, and what other people are reading from you, that's then going to change.
Right.
So they're going to read a different message from you, and so you'll find that things begin to shift and your life begins to change.
Right. So have you found that quite a lot of people are sort of coming to see you with regards to Theta Healing, for example?
Absolutely. I mean, I have a whole range of therapies that I'm trained in on offer, but literally 99% of people come to me for Theta because that's what gets differences, permanent changes in their lives. And it's quick. So it's quick, it's permanent. And then they can go away and live their lives. So, I don't expect people to come back again and again and again and again, week in, week out.
Right.
They deal with an aspect of their life, and then they can go and live.
Wow. Because I guess some people out there listening today, they might be thinking, that's mad, how can that be? And I may remind you that Anne here has got a science background. You're a doctor of in material sciences and so forth, so and you believe in all this stuff. So how would you conquer sort of these kind of opinions if people are sort of thinking, what is she talking about? Because, I mean, some people, if it was the first time they're hearing this, it might be a very new thing to them.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what kind of thing would you say to them?
Well, some people do look at Theta Healing in quite a spiritual way, but you can also look at it in a scientific way.
Right.
And that's why I love it so much. Basically,
the scientist in us coming out now.
Basically, everybody, we are all connected on an energetic level.
Right.
And this has been established by quantum physics for many years now. So that means that if you get down to the smallest scale, like the subatomic layer of matter, if you like, if you go into that level, you don't actually have matter at all anymore. What you have is what we describe as a quantum mechanical soup. It's basically a probability, a potential to become things.
Right.
And when we then witness that energy, we go into the theta brainwave.
Right.
And when you do that, and there's no special gift, anyone can be taught to do that, you then feel that connection.
Right.
it's quite amazing, but you do feel that. Then when you ask for certain change to be made, the energy, then you feel it moving, and that change is made. We can confirm that in the person we're working on with muscle testing.
Right.
So that's, we can show what they're like beforehand, what they're like afterwards, and they can feel a difference in their own body to prove that something physical has actually happened.
Okay.
And the whole thing this is based on is that because we're all connected, you've got our consciousness actually affects the rest of the world.
Right.
And if anyone's interested, if you Google the double slit experiment, experiment. This was amazing. It blew away all the scientific minds, because if basically, very simply, if you were to observe this electron moving, it behaved like a particle. If you stopped observing it, it behaved like a wave. Okay. So the fact of the experimenter witnessing what was happening in the experiment actually changed what the electron was doing, and that was a phenomenal. And they agonised over it, and basically that was the birth of quantum physics. And what we are doing is connecting to that energy that connects everything and making energetic changes that way.
Oh, wow. What we'll do is we'll chat to you in just a moment, and I'll play a bit of music now. Hello, I'm Tindy C. You're listening to Tindy C Show on Radio Fox, and I am talking to Anne Whitehouse, who has won Inspirational Therapist of the Year in Aspire magazine 2012. Hello, Anne.
Hello, Tindy.
So tell us a little bit more about the award. It's all exciting stuff, isn't it? When did you find out?
Well, I just had a phone call.
Yeah. I
answered the phone, and they're telling me that I'd been put forward for this. I didn't know about it.
Wow. Do you know who'd put you forward,
No,
then?
I don't.
Wow.
I don't know. They said that of all the people that had been put forward, that I'd stood out and that they were going to give it to me.
Oh, amazing.
So I was quite blown away, actually.
Right. Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about Aspire magazine? Because I know it covers the East Midlands, isn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Right.
It's lifestyle and leisure magazine, and they will have all kinds of sort of local interest stuff, I think.
Right.
But at the moment, they've been doing a big push on sort of natural healing, natural therapies, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that that's why they were doing it.
Okay. So what do you think made you stand out for the judges? I mean, do you know anything yet, or
sort of?
Okay.
I think that they found my story was very inspirational in itself.
Yeah.
My story, having been coming from such a different world of the conventional science, going through the illness, and being able to get my life back from that.
Right.
And again, it was. I'm not pretending it was easy. It took me over 10 years from beginning to actually being well again.
Right.
All of that, but it's very much that it's inspiring to have actually done that, because other people, no matter what you're dealing with in your life. I mean, I was told that would be my life forever. That would be. I'd have to pace myself. I could never do everything that I used to do.
Right.
And I decided that I simply wasn't going to accept that as being the rest of my life, and I was going to do something about it. And so that's what took me on an amazing journey to where I am today. I think the other thing that they particularly liked was that what I do is really very unusual. If you ask people around here what holistic therapies are, you're probably going to hear about reflexology, aromatherapy, Reiki, Indian head massage, and that's about it. And all those things are wonderful and fabulous, and are incredibly beneficial. On the other hand, if you've been doing that kind of therapy, having it done, and you need it all the time, or your issues, your stresses keep coming back again, then what it's telling you is you're not getting deep enough. You need to go to a deeper level to find the roots. Why is it that life is making you stressed? Why is it that life's making you angry? Why is it that all your relationships are full of betrayal or aggression or whatever it is that you're dealing with?
Right.
And if you can get deep enough, you can change the way that you feel about life, and then your life can be different, and you don't need to keep on trying to cope with the stress, because the stress is then gone.
So are you saying sort of like if somebody has a few sessions of Theta Healing, obviously depending upon what they've come to you for, it can potentially sort of get rid of that problem like forever?
Absolutely, it can. Yes.
Wow. So even like now, sort of we're in a hospital setting, talking about people who've got physical pains and so forth. I mean, would they? I mean, obviously they need to see their doctor first anyway,
Obviously,
wouldn't
yes.
they? And that is obviously something that we're going to say to everyone: see your doctor first. But obviously they can come to you as well, and so you could potentially, you could help them in that respect as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if somebody does have a physical illness or physical condition. what we do is we're going to work alongside conventional medicine.
Right.
And what we do is make sure that everything in the person's mind is in alignment with them getting better.
Right.
And the thing is that there can be all kinds of confusions. To give some examples, it's very often people have this deep-seated program that maybe they don't deserve to get better, or maybe perhaps they have a belief they're being punished even. Who knows what it is?
Right.
But what I would do is to check in their subconscious that everything in there is completely aligned with I want to be well, I'm allowed to be well, it's safe for me to be well, and so that nothing in their mental energy is sabotaging their physical recovery, if that makes sense.
Right. That's quite interesting to hear that, because I mean, like, where does this sort of like come from? Then, like, them sort of you realising that they don't want that. I mean, they don't probably even realise this themselves.
They won't realise it themselves. No.
So it's like subconsciously.
Basically, the thing with your subconscious is that it is full of confusions. It's full of tangles. When you get most of your conditioning, it's before the age of 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And at that age, you have no idea about how to interpret what goes on around you, because you're simply too young. So you're going to take on all kinds of misconceptions and confusions, and that's going to then be programmed into your mind forever.
Wow.
And the subconscious, it just hangs on to this stuff. It doesn't need it, and it can have a knock-on negative effect on all kinds of aspects of your life for years and years and years.
Wow.
However, with the Theta, we have the tool that enables us to get right back to that incident, whatever it was, release you from being there, say that you don't need that rule anymore. We can give you a more positive rule to go by.
Wow.
So then you stop having the internal conflict, because obviously your conscious mind says, I want to be well, I deserve to be well.
Yeah.
But your subconscious might be having a different idea on the subject. And if the two things are fighting, then that produces a whole load of internal stress.
Right.
And obviously stress will have an effect on the body. And that's going to make you weaker. It's going to be more for you to deal with. So if we can reduce all of these internal stresses, all these conflicts in your head that you're unaware of, then you're going to be more relaxed. You're going to be more balanced. You're going to be more harmonious, and that will then allow your body to get out of its sort of fight or flight stress state.
Wow.
Into a state of wellness and harmony.
So did the judges for this actual competition, did they actually sort of interview people to find out sort of what they were about, or I mean, how did it sort of come out? They knew exactly what you were doing and so forth.
Oh, well, they seem to.
Wow. Oh,
I can't tell you much more about it than that.
Oh, well, congratulations
Thank
anyway
you.
on that. That's brilliant. Now, I'm going to ask you another question here, because there are many critics out there that ridicule therapies such as Theta Healing, and they simply believe it doesn't work. But is it like the placebo effect? Like, if you believe in it, it'll work for you. If you don't, then it won't work for you. Or is it a lot deeper than that?
It's way deeper than that, Tindy.
Right.
It's
Okay.
I mean, the fact that is that the placebo effect, in fact, is actually putting a positive energy into your system. If you acknowledge that everything is connected and everything is energy, and your body's energy and your mind is energy and your thoughts and feelings are all energy, and energy interacts, that's the nature of the universe. You can't be separate.
Yeah.
If you have that, then it's just simply logical that if you have a bit of negative energy somewhere, it's going to influence the rest of you.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing with the Theta Healing is that because we are muscle testing, so what that means for anyone who doesn't know what muscle testing is, that we're testing the strength of a muscle. People are holding, say, 2 fingers together. And if they say something which their subconscious believes is true, that muscle stays strong. If they say something that the subconscious believes is a lie, the subconscious panics, oh my goodness, I'm lying. The muscle will go weak, and we can tell the subconscious doesn't believe that.
Oh, so that's the way in which you tell.
So
okay.
Exactly. So not only do we can confirm exactly what is there at the beginning of the session, but also at the end of the session we're going to test again, and those beliefs will have been changed, they'll be different, and the client can actually feel the change in their own body.
All right, okay.
Also, what people tend to find is that straight after the session they're going to feel an awful lot lighter, they're going to feel as if a burden's been taken off.
Right.
But then it's over the next sort of 2-3 weeks that new programming then begins to soak right through their mind and begin to affect how they feel and how they interact in their life.
So essentially, a person may not need that many Theta Healing sessions at all.
No. I mean,
because it could work quite soon.
Absolutely.
Right.
You'd expect to see. Some people are going to feel a difference in one session.
Right.
If it's a major issue in your life that's giving you grief, I'd say you're going to need 2 or 3 sessions, because you really need to make sure the whole thing is tidied up, everything's in place, so they'll have that very positive energy.
Right. Does it depend on how long the problem that they've come for has actually been an issue as well? Is it sort of the more years it's been an issue, the more work needs to be done, or is that not always
necessarily
the case?
What usually happens is that the subconscious has got itself locked somewhere. I mean, say you had a traumatic experience somewhere in your childhood or whatever. It will be locked there, and it'll have a lot of negativity around that. We then simply identify that that is the root of where this negativity is coming from, and we can then persuade the subconscious that that incident is now over, that what it was learning or experiencing is now finished.
Right.
And then from that, it can then come back to the present. You still got the wisdom of that experience. We haven't wiped it out or anything.
Right.
But what we have done is taken you away from that trauma, that negativity.
Right, okay. And so what would you say to your critics out there that say that Theta Healing, it doesn't work,
They clearly haven't tried it.
Okay, very good. Right, okay, we're just going to go to some music now. We'll be back with a few questions. Bit of Tapao there. Anyway, I was talking to Anne Whitehouse, who has won Holistic Therapist of the Year, most Inspirational Therapist of the Year, should I say?
Yes.
Aspire Magazine, 2012. Whoa. And she's here with us today. And she's been talking about Theta Healing and her work that she does. And I'd also like to ask you about, it says that you're a spiritual writer here as well. So tell me about your spiritual writings.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to do was to reach more people. And then I feel that if people can change the way they think about their lives and realise that things can change for them, then that opens up all kinds of possibilities. And so I really wanted to reach out to people.
Right.
So I've written quite a number of kind of mind, body, spirit articles.
Right.
And also I've written a small book, which is called You Are the Alchemist, Transform Your Life.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yes.
Tell me more about that then.
So it's basically pretty much what I learned from my own journey through illness and despair up to being, in fact, way happier than I was before I got ill.
Right.
But it takes you through the thought process to sort of unlock this sort of despondency of things are never going to change for me, this sort of hopelessness, because I know exactly what that was like because I have been there.
So you can empathise.
Of course I can,
Yeah,
absolutely.
totally.
But it takes you on a very logical process for turning around your thoughts and your feelings about whatever condition it is. Could be a health condition, could be any other aspect of your life. It doesn't matter at all. And the thing that goes with it, there's a free online healing program, and for each section of the book, online there's a whole load of healing exercises and other resources that you can then use to begin to make these changes yourself. So, without needing to go and see a therapist. So it's all there online, and it goes with the book. So I think the judges might have quite liked that as well. The idea is that anyone who picks up the book can then do that healing, change their thought process, and then begin to allow that change into their life.
So you're offering a lot more out there than just this book,
Oh,
aren't you?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I mean, if listeners out there are, wanting to know, how can they go online? Whereabouts would they look online then for this healing?
Well, they could get the book off Amazon.
Right.
Also from my own website.
Right. What's your website anyway?
Oh, it's very easy. Anne-Whitehouse.com. That's Anne spelled with an E.
Okay, thank you. And you'll be leaving some cards here today, won't you?
I will, yes.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to get in touch with us afterwards to ask us what Anne's details are, we will, of course, pass them on to you. So that'll be really great. So, okay, so tell us a little bit more about the book. Is there... what kind of feedback have you had from the book so far then?
Oh, really positive, actually.
Right.
Really
Okay.
positive, which is it's great, yes. What I've really been hearing is that it's doing what I wanted it to do. And for people who are in a very negative place in their life and feel that they are literally powerless to have any kind of change and they're simply stuck, they're basically reacting to what life has done to them, it changes that whole thought process and opens up the possibility of change. And what we're doing with that, it isn't just, it's just like a vague concept. If you've got a program in your mind of, I'll be like this forever, or change is impossible, then you are defining what your life is going to be like because you have that program. If you can change that and bring in the idea that, okay, change is possible. Perhaps I can be well again. Perhaps I can be in a healthy, loving relationship, or whatever. then that's going to immediately affect your energy and begin to start things turning back towards the positive.
Okay.
So it's literally getting you out of that pit of despair.
Do you find that there are some people that are a bit more difficult to get through to? Or do you find that that the most people...
Absolutely there are.
Yeah, we can all say that, can't we? There are some, but I mean, obviously in your... as a therapist...
If you want to change your life, you've got to take responsibility for it for yourself.
Right.
My job, and the job of any holistic therapist, is to give you the tools, provide you with the safe space to facilitate that process for you. But it is up to you to take responsibility and say, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to turn this around for myself.
Right.
So I'm showing the tools. I'm showing you how you can do it, pointing the way and giving support for that. But if you aren't ready to take responsibility, then you're not going to change your life.
But do you find generally now sort of people are a bit more sort of forthcoming with trying to change things due to sort of books such as The Secret and so forth out there?
Absolutely, yes. Things have really changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic.
It's wonderful, actually.
It's good. Okay, well, I'll ask you a few more questions just after this, though. A bit of red wine there by UB40, and you did like that one, didn't you? She's trying to pretend she didn't, but anyway, back to Theta Healing, and so we've spoken about the potential benefits of such treatments, and what kind of issues can it help resolve? Or should I ask you, what kind of issues have you helped with in the past?
Okay, well, a lot of relationship stuff. I do have a lot of ladies come to me who've gone through divorces, that kind of thing, and they're very much locked in the trauma and the negativity of that relationship. And if you then move forward and you want to have a new relationship, if your mind is still replaying all the trauma of the past, and it's on some level you're saying it's all going to go wrong again, then you're going to be sabotaging the relationship before it even starts.
Right.
So I do help a lot of ladies who've gone through that sort of thing.
Right.
I also help children who are having issues at school. That again, you can use it with them.
Is it such as bullying and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we can change, help the child to change their energy to make them feel empowered. And again, that is then something which the bullies would read subconsciously. And then the child doesn't then go to feel vulnerable. So you can shift that kind of thing. A lot of people who are coping with stress in the workplace. I'm the expert on stress in the workplace. Certainly the programs that were underpinning my own stress was all about I have to prove myself, I have to be perfect. And anything that wasn't perfect was a failure.
Right.
Which, logically, that's ridiculous.
So you're like failing to live up to your own high standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, again, a lot of people who are dealing with all that work stress. There's a lot of family issues, obviously, that you have lots of issues with step-parents, step-brothers and sisters, and there can be all kinds of aggravation, but we can bring in sort of harmony into that kind of situation as well.
Right.
And then there's, again, people who've got issues with their confidence, issues with speaking, all kinds of things like that. There's self-esteem issues.
With practically
everything.
Can't it? Yeah.
It can help with money issues as well, believe it or not.
Okay, well.
Because often people have got a base programme, which is something like money is evil or money corrupts.
Right.
And that's very, very common. So if you sort of think, oh my goodness, if I allow, obviously it's a subconscious, consciously you're not doing it. Yeah. Subconsciously, you might be thinking, I need to block money because if money comes into my life, I'll be corrupted and I'll turn into a miser, I'll be mean, people will then hate me.
Okay.
But again, we can just shift all of that old programming and bring in the fact that money is simply energy. It's the form of energy exchange in our society. It's not good or bad. It's what you do with it. So we then put in a program, showing or to help the person feel that they are responsible and they're generous. And in fact, when they allow money into their life, they are then going to be able to help more people and do more good in the world as if they're poor. So you completely shift how it's working with their finances.
Despite me thinking, I want to win the lottery every night, I may even be putting it out of reach because I might be thinking it will make me a really bad person.
Exactly, on a subconscious level. And of course, again, if that's in your subconscious and your conscious mind is saying, yes, I do want to win that lottery, that's a lot of internal conflict. And conflict leads to stress, and stress undermines our health and well-being.
Wow, that's amazing. So who can actually have this done? Is it suitable for everyone out there?
It's suitable for everybody.
So is there anyone that's not...
It's simply a case of you feeling that is the right thing for you, because it is a very direct therapy.
Right.
We do it with speaking. I sort of ask questions as we go into the subconscious.
Right.
Some people aren't ready to do that, especially if they're dealing with abuse issues or rape, that kind of thing.
Right.
I do help a lot of people who've gone through that kind of thing with theta, and it's fabulously effective. But if you don't feel quite ready to do that, maybe another therapy such as the colour mirrors or the metatronics that I offer is more gentle and indirect, and might be a good place to start.
Okay.
But if you feel that you would benefit, and if you feel it's the right thing for you, then it is going to be very, very powerful.
Well, that's fantastic. So it's not a matter of, like, say somebody's physically, their well-being is not, because it's not hands-on as such, like reflexology, for example, because a reflexologist might be advised not to touch somebody until 6 weeks after they've come out of hospital, for example. Is it something that somebody that's recently been released from hospital could have?
Absolutely. There's no limitations at all.
Okay, so it's fairly harmless.
Absolutely. And basically, whatever we do, it's always with the person's permission, and they know exactly what it is that we're changing.
Okay, that's fantastic. And is there anything else that you'd like to add today that you feel that we haven't covered?
Well, I'd really just like people to take on board the fact that anything in their life that they thought that they were stuck with, they probably aren't stuck with it.
Right.
But if they start to look at what might be undermining them in their life and dealing with that, and again, it does take a bit of courage sometimes to do that. You have to take responsibility for the fact that your subconscious is a bit screwed up sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's very normal. We all have it. But if you can allow yourself to open your mind a little bit to look at life in a different way, and the fact of these energies affecting other people, affecting the world around us, affecting all aspects of our own life, then you can begin to have amazing transformational changes in your life.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Anne. And you are going to leave a card with us today, but would you like to tell our listeners what your contact details are before you go?
Okay, yes. If anyone wants to email me with any questions, you can do that through my website. So that's anne-whitehouse.com.
Right.
And there's a phone number on the website as well. I'd be happy to answer anyone's questions if they want to do that.
Okay, thank you very much, Anne, for joining us today.
Tindy. Thank you for inviting me.
And you've been very inspirational, and thank you. It's been fantastic. Bye.
Bye-bye.